All right, hello everyone. Welcome to this public event for breaking the plastic habit in ASEAN. I'm very happy to be welcoming you here. And just as we're getting populated online, I will say that we're coming together here to share the insight from the Breaking the Plastic Habit in ASEAN project and to launch a report that will be coming in the post-event communications. So my name is Dwayne Appleby. I'm the Deputy Director for Sustainable Consumption and Production at the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies, and I will be your host today. So let's jump to the agenda quickly so I can tell you what to expect today. During today's session, you're going to be hearing from six implementing teams from the Breaking the Plastic Habit in ASEAN Phase 2 project. We'll have two panels for you. One will focus on shifting behavior in the context of educational institutions, and the other will focus on shifting behaviors within the food and beverage segment of the business community. So each panel is going to have a Q&A session, so I encourage you all to make use of the Q&A box to pose your questions to the panelists. We will be pulling questions from there to fill out the discussion during the sessions, and perhaps at the end, if we have an additional amount of time, we can have an expanded discussion as well as reflecting on the panels and some of the key takeaways from the overall project. So this is what to expect overall. But first, I would like to turn over for a formal welcome note. I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Ayako Mizuno, the Program Manager for the Regional Knowledge Center for Marine Plastic Debris at the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, who are the core financial backers of this project. So Mizuno-san, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dwayne, for the introduction. So, dear IGES colleagues and project partners from Cambodia, Indonesia, Lao PDR, the Philippines, Thailand, and Viet Nam, dear audiences from across ASEAN and from all over the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ayako Mizuno. I am the Program Manager at the Regional Knowledge Center for Marine Debris of area, or the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. I am speaking on behalf of Mr. Reo Kamura, our director, who regrets not being able to be with us today. It is with a great pleasure that Area's Regional Knowledge Center welcomes you to the final event of the project titled Breaking the Plastic Habit. We initiated phase 1 of this project with the IGES team back in 2022. When behavior change was not widely discussed as a means to address plastic pollution in the ASEAN region. Even today, behavior change remains a relatively underrated policy arena. However, more and more actors, including ASEAN member states' governments, are beginning to explore this field to better understand how behaviorally informed approaches can help design future plastic reduction policies and actions in the region. After phase 1 of Breaking the Plastic Habit, where pilot projects in 4 ASEAN countries were implemented, we reflected on the lesson learned from those projects and carried them forward. In 2024, we launched the phase 2 of the project with IGES team and also inviting RARE's Center for Behavior and Environment to join us. Phase 2 was implemented across 6 ASEAN countries with a stronger focus on engaging with a wider range of stakeholders, strengthening monitoring and evaluation, and embedding a more iterative approach into the project. This was a significant step up, requiring both the partners and the technical team to adapt and learn along the way. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the IGES team and local partners for overcoming those challenges, along with generating insights that deepen our understanding and appreciation of this field of research. The final report, which captures both the valuable findings and lessons learned, as well as the challenges encountered by the project team, will be made available soon. In the meantime, today's event provides a platform for partners to share their experiences directly with the audience, and I hope you will enjoy the discussion as much as I will. And I encourage you to engage with the panel members during the Q&A session. Thank you. Back to you, Dwayne.
Thank you very much, Mizuno-san, for the very kind words, and thank you again to you and your team for all of your support along the way. You've been fantastic partners. So now I would like to say just a few words about phase two of the Breaking the Plastic Habit in ASEAN project to give a little bit more context of what we're going to be talking about. So as Ayako mentioned, in phase two, we worked with partners in 6 ASEAN countries and our partners with the RARE's Center for Behavior and the Environment to pilot efforts at reducing plastic consumption and enhance effective plastic waste management behaviors. So we thought really deeply together about how we could build thoughtful and intentional interventions based on the science that could engender long-lasting changes. So you'll be hearing more about these interventions shortly, but perhaps I can say a bit about what you'll see in the report. Next slide, please. So the project report that Mizuno-san mentioned, you'll find in there some case write-ups on each of the 6 pilots, an introduction to a psychosocial theory of change, a monitoring and evaluation framework that we've been working on, and of course, the key lessons and takeaways from the projects. So this is a bit of a teaser, and I want to just kind of expand a little bit on something that makes this project a bit unique, and that is, that we are based on the behavioral science, and so what we've learned is that behavior science really demonstrates that short-term changes in behavior, these can be relatively easy, right? You can think about purchasing responses that you have in response to economic shifts or personal challenges, global events, life events. So these often result in really quick, dramatic shifts in our behavior, but they rarely last beyond the end of the crisis or the disruption. For lasting shifts in behavior to happen, we need first to achieve shifts in the way that people perceive, think, and feel about a behavior. And this is where that psychosocial piece comes in. So during this project, we co-developed with our pilot teams and with RARE a monitoring and evaluation framework that was based on a psychosocial theory of change. And this really placed the thoughts and beliefs of people and communities at the center of our planning and resulted in a set of promising and innovative approaches to breaking the plastic habit in ASEAN. So I really hope that during the panels today, you're going to be hearing about these interventions, and I really hope that you'll find the discussions interesting and valuable. We'll be sharing the project report in the post-webinar communication, as I mentioned, so please watch for that in your inbox. So with that bit of scene setting, I will turn things over to our first moderator for the first panel. So let me please introduce to you Mr. Atsushi Watabe, the Acting Program Director for Sustainable Consumption and Production at the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Well, as Dwayne introduced, their first panel invites 3 practitioners worked on the environment of school campuses or university campuses. Schools and universities are not just places where young people learn. They are actually communities where habits form, norms are negotiated, and behaviors spread. This panel explores what happens when we treat these institutions not just as classrooms, but as living laboratories or sustainable behavior change. Our 3 panelists have worked across very different educational settings: primary schools, a boarding high school, and university campuses. And I'm curious to find out what those contexts reveal about how and why behavior change takes root or doesn't. So let me introduce first my 3 panelists in the order of their introduction of their pilot projects. First, Pak Arisman, could you turn on your camera? Mr. Arisman is the Executive Director for Center for Southeast Asian Studies, or CSIAS, in Indonesia, who worked with their boarding high school in Indonesia. And Mr. Ross Bandos from Department of Environment Education, Ministry of Environment, Cambodia. Ross Bandos, please. Yes, welcome. And my third panelist is Dr. Kwanamas Mitaban from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand. And I will call her by her nickname, Pan. So Pan, welcome to the panel. So first, I will invite Pak Arisman to introduce your intervention in the boarding school.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Atsushi. let me start to introduce our intervention in the Darun Najah boarding school in Jakarta. Next slide, please. Our pilot focusing on the two plastic product, which is a plastic bag and plastic straw. The intervention from April to June 2025. The project focused on the two school outlet. The first is Darun Najah Fried Chicken, targeting plastic bag reduction, and then the second one is the mini market, targeting plastic straw reduction. Next slide, please. Yeah, before intervention, we had a baseline survey among 342 students, so that most students already high knowledge about the negative impact of plastic. But when come to the effort to reduce single-use plastic, this is still limited. And then after the intervention, next slide. This is the result after our intervention. 3 months, the plastic bag use at the Darun Najah Fried Chicken decreased around 50%, and then plastic straw use at the DS store or mini market dropped by 80% by the end of intervention. Next. Yeah, this is the picture show how we start with the focus group discussion to share this pilot intervention with all the stakeholders, including the management of the boarding schools, the teachers, the vendors, as well as the student body. And then after the baseline survey, we also have a lot of activities like seminar, workshop, including upcycling workshop. And then we start the intervention, especially for these two outlets. And then we observe the behavior of the student when they buy the fried chicken. We hope they change the behavior, not using a plastic bag. And then in the mini market, we hope they also buy drink, not using a straw. And then we have a regular monitoring and monitoring. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is the role of the participant in this project. We involve all the stakeholders, like I mentioned, the student contributing for the baseline survey as well as the intervention program, because they're the one we hope they change their behavior. And of course, they also involve several activities like upcycling workshop, and then monitoring. Also, we involving the teachers to actively involve in the monitoring, as well as vendors. We share knowledge with vendors how important asking customer if they really need a plastic bag and straw. Last one, the last slide. Yeah, this is the key takeaways from our intervention. The first, combining behavior change level from the 6 levels, what we learned from rare behavior change framework, nudging, is very powerful compared to only rely on one level. And then since this is our target is a high school student, social influence is a very significant influence role, especially peer influence. And then the third one, choice architecture is highly effective. How we adjust the default option is more effective than only awareness raising only. And then the last one, this is also important, multi-actor engagement is critical. Engaging students, teachers, school management, and vendors from the early stage is also can strengthen the ownership and the long-term commitment. I think I finished my 5 minutes. Hopefully, it's very clear. Looking forward for discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Arisman, for keeping your time very sharply and for the very clear presentation of your pilot project. I think we can have a couple of questions after listening to other panelists. So yeah, the next panelist is Mr. Ross Dandas from Cambodia. Dandas, can we? Yes.
Thank you, Atushi Watabe-san. First of all, I would like to thank to IJS as well as ERI for this opportunity. Cambodia project title is Intergenerational Transmission of Knowledge and Experience of Students, the promotion of Tumblr usage in Cambodia. Next slide, please. So the content of this 5-minute presentation is problem statement, why we do the study and objectives, and what methods we use in the study, and then I will show you results and the recommendations. Next, please. So environmental issue, especially plastic pollution in Cambodia, may be similar to other least developed country. In Cambodia, plastic bottle usage is extremely high, driven by convenience, lack of safe tap water, and weak waste infrastructure, making them a huge source of pollution in landfills, streets, and waterways. According to the UNEP, plastic waste, including PET bottles, made up 21%, around 213,536 metric tons of Phnom Penh's annual 1,015,980 metric tons of solid waste in 2019. The majority of this waste is collected and disposed of at open dump sites, while the remaining is burned and disposed of on the streets or into local waterways. Yes, next please. So the objective of the study was the study intergenerational transmission of knowledge and experience of students. The promotion of Tumblr use in Cambodia was to motivate students, parents, and teachers to continuously tackle the challenge associated with the current practice of chasing pet bottle every day. The target behavior was to increase the ownership and usage of refillable water bottles among students and their parents instead of single-use bottles. The project also tested whether pro-environmental behavior could be transferred from primary school students to their parents. Next, please. So here I show you the different areas under the study. We conduct the study into different areas. One area is the most tourist area in the Siem Reap city. You know Siem Reap, maybe you know the Siem Reap, the Angkor Wat Temple area. And the other one is a suburban, peri-urban area. So if you look at the column on the right side, you look at the area and the population density, very, very different. One area, the peri-urban, the size is bigger, much bigger, 47 square kilometer, while the tourist area only 8 square kilometer. But comparing with the population, you see the small city with very, very densely populated. So 2,000 per square kilometer. So this is the characteristic difference between the two study sites. Next, please. So in the study, our intervention, we have 4 activities from the beginning until the end. One is A0, we call baseline survey. Activity number two is the training of trainer on storytelling. In Japanese, it is called kamishibai. So in English, it's storytelling. And then activity A2, storytelling and homework. And activity 3 is storytelling with parent and then homework. And the A2, A3, and A4, this is the group that we designed. We have 3 different groups. The A2, the group, we provide them only kamishibai, only storytelling. And we expect students will get information that behavior levels and also emotional appeals, because the story, it is about public pollution and about a girl. I will tell you later about the story. And the group number 2, it is the storytelling with parents, with peers. So we expect the effect from the storytelling is information, emotion, and also social influence. And A4 is the control group, the group without storytelling. So we just it's just information. So that is the difference between the 3 groups. And on the right side, the column, the picture, we also test the feeling of the students. So after the student listen to the storytelling, we ask them to point which feeling they have. So you see the picture, you have sad, happy, and angry, and neutral. Thank you. Next, please. So this is the result. We have one good result and one unexpected result. The bar chart on the left. Sorry. So this result, this finding suggests that direct parental engagement significantly strengthened behavioral uptake, whereas child-owned storytelling was insufficient to influence household purchasing decisions. These findings highlight the importance of family-based or co-management models when designing intervention aimed at shifting household behavior. Next, please. So the recommendation, this is built on one study conducted by a professor in Madagascar. She also studied about the effect of storytelling, and in that paper, I found there is no connection between the effect of storytelling and pro-environmental behavior. So, and this is one academic implication. And for practical implication, we learn a lot from this study. First, we should integrate storytelling into the early childhood and primary education curriculum as a core environmental education tool. Number 2, strengthening school parents partnerships to support pro-environmental behavior beyond the classroom. Recognizing that behavior change through student assignments alone may require sustained engagement over time. Embedding co-management models, parent-child activities into eco-school and community outreach frameworks to enhance intergenerational knowledge transfer and behavioral adoption. So, this is on the right side, you can see this is the content of the newly updated ASEAN Eco-School Guideline that is clear about engaging parents. So I really happy that ASEAN Eco-School Guideline mention about the engaging parent in the guidelines. So, and from my view, as in Cambodia, we will also try to work more with a parent to change their behavior. Thank you. That's all from my side. Sorry,
thank you very much
for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Bandas. Thank you for your presentation. I think you will also have some questions from the panelists, and there are some questions for the Indonesian pilot are already being answered by Mr. Arisman. So please also feel free to put your question on the Q&A box while some others are talking. So my third panelist is Tan from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand, on their unique intervention in the universities. So Tan, please start your presentation.
Thank you, Asuchi, and good afternoon, everyone. For Thailand project, we did on another form of plastic, and we call this project like Initiative on Sustainable Clothing Consumption among Young Generation through major sporting events. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, for the background of this project, as Chulalongkorn University, we have a major sporting event like every year. And with this sporting event, like we produce like new sporting shirt for this event, like special for this event, like every year, more than like 10,000 shirts. And these shirts made from 100% of synthetic fiber, or we know that like synthetic fiber is made from the plastic-based fiber. So, and yeah, and we know that like this shirt used at the event. Yeah, actually like this project is come from like my experience and from my hypothesis that I think like this kind of shirt would not be rewear after the event. So it comes to like the third bullet, like if this shirt is used once at the event, it can be claimed as a single-use plastic. So I would like to prove my hypothesis and would like to make the clothing consumption sustainably. So for this project, the objective is to initiate systematic sustainable clothing consumption among young generation. Next slide, please. As yeah, because like a plastic in the form of shirt is very new to us. And talking about like the textile waste or clothing waste or fashion waste is very new to our students. So first thing, we would like to understand the current behavior of the student first. So the first activity is we did a questionnaire to collect the current behavior of the students. The sample we got is 345, yeah, among the students in the university, and the result we found that 30% of the respondents own the shirt. Like, yeah, we have that sporting event every year, right? So the shirt of last year, they don't wear them again. Like 30% of the respondent don't wear them again. The next result is we found that 62% of respondents don't know the type of the fiber, or they didn't aware of the fiber type that made that shirt. And we found that like 80% of respondents agree with the statement that wearing a garment made from synthetic fiber only once before discarding, it is comparable to using single-use plastic packaging. And yeah, from these three results, we design, we actually, like I engage with the students in the university and design the next activity to intervene their current behavior. So okay, from this slide you can see like the box on the right hand side. This is like the box that I would like to visualize them about, like, you know, like the waste from textile can be upcycled to like other like commodity or other things, like to engage them with this project and to bring them to the next activity. So can I have a next slide, please? Okay, for the next activity, we intervened the students' current behavior. The first activity is the public event. This event made our students like created gather like 30 students to join and give them like knowledge, awareness, like environmental awareness of clothing consumption. And here you can see we have 4 activity. Like the first is the knowledge about label symbols. The second one is microplastic issue and impact. And we have a quiz for fun, and then session for this. And we found that like after the event, the participant gain knowledge and shift their awareness about like those four like issues after the event. And after this event, we would like to test that after the gain knowledge, they and with other behavior lever, they will change behavior like or not. So the second activity is behavior change monitoring. It's took about like 8 to 9 period during June to August. Like we recruit a group of students and we feed them of information about like textile impacts and many more about like sustainable consumption through the 6 poster and 3 video. And we monitor the rewear, like they bring the same clothes to wear repeatedly, like along this 8 week. And the graph, show that, this is the numbers of rewearing of the students. Yeah, and also like the activities that the student use that shirt. So yeah, like they wear it for work, for exercise, as a pajamas, like for example. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, and for the conclusion after the old activity, we found that like the student has like higher awareness on clothing consumption, like especially shirt that produced for particular event, like such as like sporting events. And students tend to pay more attention on type of fiber before purchasing and wear with care. And students are willing to increase time of use per piece. And I would say that like this project has some challenges and limitation because like we work on university, right? So we have like timeline of the examination period, internship period, and like many like period of the student. And this one, we found that is an effect, is factor that affect the students' behavior, like different timeline and different behavior. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I would say that like initiate this project, we had attention from others, like both students and members of the not only in our department but also like our like faculty. So as we use like the cloth that we collect in the box upcycle to commodity like a hangers or a name tag, and we use this as a marketing pieces to raise awareness of the people like out there that like textile waste can be upcycled and can be replaced the plastic use. Yeah, we can produce hanger from fiber, not only the plastic. So yeah, and we found that like unwanted pieces are turned into like item like hangers or name tags. Like upcycle product from textile is a good marketing items, and like upcoming sporting event medals that is going to be like on the days like coming like Saturday is upcycle from textile wood that we collect from the box. Yeah, and after that, like our student, like my student, would like to expand the project more, like not only like the single box in front of our department, but we connect with like Chula Zero Waste and organization in Chulalongkorn, and we expand the box like campus wide. Like we will have like 8 dropping box of textile waste, and we will planning to make like further project that to promote a sustainable clothing consumption in the campus. Thank you. And this is from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Pan. And now I'm going to move on to the quick rounds with all the panelists. So please turn on your camera, Karisma. Thank you. So, my first question is about how you took advantage of your unique settings of their school or university campuses. For example, at Arisman, we work with the boarding school, which looks like the most closed setting of the community among the three different institutions. And how these unique settings helped you design and implement a project, or on the other hand, perhaps you have had some challenges because of these closed settings. Arisman?
Yes, thank you, Atsushi. Yeah, of course, boarding school is a closed setting, but in the context of, let's say, for in this boarding school, for the refusing the plastic bag, when the few students start to refusing the plastic bag, and then the other student will follow or copy. This is become like not individual choice because in the closed setting environment is they are more homogeneous and then easy to build shared norms. But in the other hand, if there's a resistance from the student, especially with, let's say, from student body, this is also another issue because our that's why we combine not only by social influence, but also like emotional appeals and also with the banners, with the apron. So we also combine the other levels of the behavior change to make this happen. I think that's from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Arisman. This is quite interesting to listen about some resistance from some of the students. And if we have time, we can elaborate more on this topic. Well, then, Mr. Bambos, I'm also curious because you worked with the youngest category of partners among the 6 pilot projects. And can you tell me about what surprised you most in working with their primary school students and their parents? You mentioned that the engagement with the parents are the key for success. So could you elaborate on this point?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. From my observation, what surprised me the most was that we used the right tool for the right target. In this case, young children. Kamishibai or storytelling was indeed, I believe, one of the material very helpful for young children to learn about environment. You know, in each experiment, after the experiment, we organize a plenary session where all students who listen to a story invited to come and answer questions. So we ask questions about the story, whether we want to know whether they understood very well or not the idea about the story. And the results, impressed me. Not 100%, but more than 90% of them, answer very correctly. And I didn't believe that storytelling, attract and make them understand very fast about plastic pollution. So I feel very impressed and excited about this result. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This is very impressive. Then I will also ask a similar question to Pam. So you worked with the university students and who are most developed in terms of their decision making and their on their own. So maybe this is a chance as well as a challenge for your project. And did you have any benefits with working with the university students or any challenges in terms of the implementation? Because you worked with the students with high level of knowledge or awareness.
Yeah, thank you. So I would say that it for me it's what fun working with them. Yeah, we know that their generation, like comparing with my generation when I were in the university, it's very different. Like before we designing like each activity, I always like kind of like shaping something, talking to them, and you know what, like they're trying to like defend me, like, hey, you know, like this generation don't want that, don't want this. Yeah, and they decide by themselves. Yeah, each activity, the reward, the poster, like the influencer that they follow, the kind of this thing. I think like it's what fun, and I learn more about like the new generation. Like in one way, it's kind of the challenging like to communicate with them, but another way, I think like we can learn a lot from them, like new generation, like behavior and their like interests. Yeah, and their like ability to do something. Yeah, to influence like peers or yeah friends at the university. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's another wonderful point. And well, I think this is one of the most exciting point about working with the real world setting for the behavior change. We don't always try to we don't just try to change other people's behavior. We are learning and changing ourselves through the course of their project, and learn quite a lot from what participants do, and many of them are actually unexpected from the project implementer side. So, well, that leads to my second question. All of the three panelists worked in a relatively close community of the school, university campuses, or events, and so on. So, if you have any plans to upscale this to broader than just one campus or one boarding school or two primary schools, I would like to listen to your thoughts. But Arisman, do you have any ideas about that?
Yes, to expand, yeah. Yeah, of course, this pilot can be best practice or lesson learned for other schools. That's why if this case study can be a model, so I think we already have communication with the Ministry of Environment, because like Indonesia, the Ministry of Environment also have a word for a green school, call it Adiwiyata. So I think mostly in the context of waste management or infrastructure, green infrastructure. But when it comes to the behavior change, I think this is important. I think this model can be replicated to other boarding school as well as a non-boarding school, I think. The difference is only the open setting and the closed setting environment, but the target audience, the high school, is important because, like I mentioned, the social peer influence is important because in their age is they uh, engage with the social media. Of course, in the boarding school, sometimes it's not allowed, but in the public school, usually they watch in the social media the behavior in the other school like that. Thank you.
Thank you. This sounds quite exciting. And then, Mr. Bambas, you mentioned about there's institutionalization, potential of institutionalization of this pilot to other schools. Can you tell me some more about this, if you have any plans or current thoughts?
Yeah, in Cambodia, engaging parent is still voluntary based. Actually, we have some documents developed by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, require school to engage more the student parents. And this is exactly what I think we are on the right track. It's good, but you know, it's not compulsory. This is a voluntary, so it depends on the school. If the school decided to engage parents more, then the school can do. But they can say no, or it depends on the school. That's I think if there are possibility to do something, you know, to make it mandatory for school, you have to to engage more parents, so to follow up with student parents, to make them involved more. So then this is for the next for the future. I'm thinking, but how is another question here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then the same question to Pan. You have any thoughts of scaling up this project?
Yeah. As I told you that like now like our student like interested in like this kind of project. So now like they are like expanding the project to like campus wine. So now we have 8 boxes and then boxes for collecting the unwanted pieces. And then after this collecting, like my student like decide to make the event for like clothes swapping. So this kind of like to extend the life of the good quality like piece, yeah, for longer. So yeah, this is like will be like happen in the next month. I think like two weeks, like in the next 2 weeks. This is like one event. And another one is we planning to work with Jula Zero Waste and trying to integrate textile like garment waste, like yeah, the fashion waste, yeah, as a one type of the bin that we place like around the campus. Yeah, this is like the short-term plan that we are planning to expand our project.
Sounds so exciting. Thank you very much, Pan. Well, that said, I'm sorry, we are running up the time for the first panel. So I will quickly wrap up what we learned from the 3 pilot projects in universities and school settings. We learned that the social influence among the students, as well as the engagement with their parents, vital part of the implementation in the school settings. And also there are quite a lot of opportunities to learn from the students and teachers and parents during the implementation for our end to always changing the implementation and target settings and so on. And the future direction could be more scaling up to broader schools, or as well as engaging with their broader societies, including the business partners or policymaking, which is leading to the next panel, is focusing more about the business and community settings. So back to Dwayne.
Great, thank you, Atsushi. And thank you to the 3 panelists, Pan, Mr. Bandos, Arislan, great discussion. I think we're always reminded that educational institutions are such important venues for engaging with behavior change work, both in terms of engaging with young minds that are open and curious and dynamic, and as places that are, future facing and open to experimentation, exploring what could be possible. So really great discussion, and looking forward to continuing it later on. So let's turn now to our second panel, moderated by Xiang Li, who is the General Manager of Rare China's Center for Behavior and the founder of Blue Wave Consulting, and also, I should say, one of our core partners advising on the behavioral science during the Breaking the Plastic Habit project. So Xiang, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second panel. In this session, we bring together cases from Vietnam, Lao PDR, and the Philippines. What connects those cases is a simple but powerful question. How do we redesign the circular business model and the practice so that sustainable behavior became easier, more attractive, and more likely to stick? We're very pleased to introduce our 3 panelists. Pierre from Nopa Move in Vietnam. We have Valley from Econox in Lao PDR. We have Noriza from the University of Philippines, Diliman. And we're delighted to have all of you here. And I'd like to invite each of our panelists to first briefly introduce the challenge you are trying to solve, your solution, and how behavior insights inform your approach. And for those who join us online, welcome. Please drop your questions in the Q&A box as we go, and we'll bring them into the discussion later. So let's begin with Pierre from Nopa Move in Vietnam, a startup rethinking reuse not just as a product, but as a lifestyle behavior. Pierre, over to you.
Thank you, Shiyang, and hi everyone. I guess we can move to the slides. So yeah, I'm Pierre, co-founder of NOPA. We based off Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, and we're building a behavior-first reuse kind of hybrid infrastructure with a bit of hardware and some software as well, so a little bit of technology. And today, the idea is to show you a little bit about what it actually looks like in practice to try and make reuse more rewarding. So next slide, please. So the one thing is, so we're also trying to address the issue of single-use takeaway drinks in particular. I think sometimes it may feel like maybe it's not the biggest issue that exists around plastic, but in practice for Vietnam, it's pretty significant. Every year, it's about 1.4 billion that single-use drink containers that are thrown away. And we're just talking about the major cities, and we're not talking about all the rural areas. And that makes it the biggest single-use plastic items that is found both in landfills and in waterways as well. So at about almost half. So considering this, we thought, okay, this is not a recycling issue. It's a behavior issue. And the question that we ask is there a way that we can make reuse playful, personal, rewarding, instead of being preachy or inconvenient, trying to guilt trip people into doing something that's good for the planet. So we try to make something that's first and foremost good for themselves. So next slide, please. So that's pretty much where we came about. Like, this is what we call the NOPA blueprint. So it's the idea of creating a reuse lifestyle that is not built on either a lot of information and campaigning on guilt tripping or giving people just direct discounts, but really three things that work together. The number one is the emotional appeal. It was mentioned by other panelists prior to this. So we put it into a bottle that people can actually design and customize in infinite possible different ways, and that enable us to make sure they create an emotional relationship with their reusable container. And then we combine this with material incentive, which are direct discounts at partner venues. And the last piece is social influence. So basically, we create challenges and community components. So when people reuse, then their behavior is recorded. It's visible to a community of people who actually care, which are other reusers. So you can think of it a little bit as like the Strava for reuse. So instead of running, it's about going to cafes and actually getting takeaways with a proper container. So of course, none of these things work alone, and that's the whole idea, right? So it's just together they create enough cues and feedback and rewards that it actually sticks over time. It's not just a 1 or 2 time thing. So next slide, please. So the highlight and the part that we really want to highlight here is that we work with, the engine that makes all of this work is the partner network. So NOPA is the largest reuse reward network in Ho Chi Minh City. There is 103 venues today. We're talking cafes, workspaces, coffee carts, gyms, delis, and all of this spread across the city. So that's the idea, that wherever you go, if you have your bottle with you, then you can make it work for you. And so it's not exactly like a loyalty card for one brand. It's also very agnostic. It's a lot of different experiences that you can unlock, and it's citywide. So the idea is, like, the more dense this network is, and the more likely people are to actually pick up the habits wherever they are. So that's the idea. Always having a reward close. And the work with IGES actually was pretty critical in this, the bit that consists in connecting all of these partners together into a digital infrastructure that you can see on the slide, which is the map and the web app that goes with it. So next slide. So basically how that works is that it's a very simple mechanic. You scan your bottle. Every bottle has I cannot see with my background, but every bottle has an NFC chip at the bottom. You can scan it, find nearby partners on the map, walk there, get the discount automatically. You don't need to show a voucher. There is no code. There is no friction. The coffees are trained, and basically they know and they recognize the bottle. When you come in, you get a discount. So you can see on the right-hand side, there's an actual receipt from a discount, 12% for getting a drink in a bottle. So next slide, please. To give you an idea a bit of the numbers, in our pilot phase, we got to 103 shops that I mentioned already. That's 2.5 times the number of partners we had a year ago. And over the last 60 days, we have recorded official check-ins with the digital side of the service, 176. So we do have users who actually reuse, and we can prove it. And we estimate that basically from the beginning of our existence, we have currently avoided probably 1 million single-use items, which, you know, compared to 1.4 billion is probably not that much, but it's, you know, something that we start with and we are happy to scale from. So there is an actual real proof of traction for the behavior. So next slide, please. The numbers are compelling, but you know, for us, what's the most compelling is definitely people sharing to us that the levers are working. For instance, people telling us that, yes, I mean, you know, that feeling when you bring the bottle and the staff knows, that's like being part of an exclusive club. That part means like quite literally there is this feeling of community. Or people who tell us that, you know, the bottle has become an emotional support item that they take everywhere with them. That's also meaning the emotional appeal lever is working. In some instances, you know, different things work for different people. And so we can understand that now we kind of have found a way to turn human nature into something that, you know, can make them reuse. And so next slide, please. Where do we want to go from there is, I mean, we try to get 1 million reusers by 2028. That's 1% of Vietnam. But to get there, we need a few things. Definitely our network needs to improve, and that's what we're working on. But also we're trying to make sure that the verified behavior tracking can be even more frictionless by leveraging technologies like you know, AI and things like this. Happy to develop if there is questions around that. But also we want to be able to make the bar to access reuse even lower, and that's maybe one of our biggest next thing is we want to turn every bottle into an OPA bottle with a kind of an accessory that makes people able to reuse and go to our partners without having our bottle. So that's kind of the next steps for us. So thank you. Happy to go deeper in the Q&A and answer anything.
Sure. Thank you, Pierre. And what I also find especially compelling about NOPA is how your work has evolved. You started from redesigning the mug itself and then build a survey system that make repeat use easier and in everyday life. And you didn't just stop there. You took a step further by using this NFC enable these accessories to help scale this sustainable behavior. So I already saw questions coming to you, so you can answer them later.
Thank you.
Now let's hear from Valley from Equinox in Lao PDR, who has been piloting a rent your cup model with Laos fast-growing hospitality industry. Valley, please.
Right. Thank you very much, Yang. And thank you, Pierre, for setting the bar very high. So my name is Vali Phomajak, and I'm proud to represent Equinox Laos and Plastic Free Laos label to present about our project, Rent Your Cup, which is initiated in Vientiane, Lao PDR. Next slide, please. First, I would like to present a little bit about us to get to know us a little bit more. So Rent Your Cup in Lao is Sao Chok Chao. Is the circular reuse system that we provide for takeaway drinks. So if you come to Laos and you are ordering coffee or like ordering drinks on the go, you don't have to generate plastic waste from the cups and from straws and more. So you can choose to rent your cups with the participating cafes. And our cups is also durable, reusable, and 100% recyclable as well with the Lao-inspired design. Maybe you are not being able to see the whole details of the design, but you're welcome to come to Laos and rent the cups to see it yourself. And we have the QR tracking system to help tracking numbers of rents and also returns and the locations where the cups are being rented. And now we are operating through a network of partners, cafes and restaurants because we are operating under the Lao Plastic Free Laos label. So we have a strong network of the businesses in hospitality area that we are working with. Next, please. Why do we need the Rent Your Cup? According to World Bank, also this year, the service sector, especially hospitality sector, is the main economic driver. And we can see from, the emerging numbers of cafes across the countries. And not only that, we can see that the following issue is the growing number of plastic waste across the country. You can see plastic waste everywhere, also with the plastic cups and straw. So because of this, we think that it's very crucial that we are becoming a part to tackle this problem together with all sectors in Laos. Next, please. So how it works? First, we try to provide the circular rental system so customers can rent the cup anywhere and return anywhere in the participating cafes. So we started in Vientiane capital where we work or where we are based in, but now we have expanded to two other touristic destinations, which is Vang Vieng and Luang Prabang. As you can see, a beautiful Tat Kong Si waterfall in Luang Prabang, which I would like to invite all of you to visit. And also with the QR code system, which we also make it easy and also simple for the cafe staffs to use. Secondly, because we have the pilot phase before, we also receive feedbacks that the cups need to be strong, durable, and fully recyclable and with attractive design. And that's why we also work together in our team to develop these two styles of cup with the Lao inspired motif to make the cup even like more trendy and more appealing to be used. Next, please. And not only that we work with the businesses and also provide this service together, but we also see the importance of having business engagement, such as providing training for staff, because most of the time the owner or the manager are the one who sign up because they are interested in, reducing single-use plastic, but the staffs are the one who are really, talking to the customers, baristas are the one who are introducing this service to them. So they need to understand why we are doing this, why plastic crisis needs to be tackled. And not only that, we also did the baseline assessment for the businesses for them to see what kind of business items that are still being used and generated waste daily from their services and operations. We also support them in terms of communication and also provide opportunities for them to connect with other businesses in hospitality area because we work with the Lao National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You can see that not only the training, but we also try to organize as many as we can events for these businesses to meet and network. We also provide the visual cues at the cafe like signs, standees, and also as NOPA also have it as a key, the material incentive. We also support the businesses to provide discounts if the customers bring their own cups or to refill their own cups. And of course, they will receive their money back 100% if they return their cups within the designated days. Please, next slides. So as for our results, we started strong, but with like only a few businesses join in. But as for now, we have 16 cafes who are providing these services in 3 major cities that are the tourist destinations. And we also plan to expand more into other provinces. Next, please. Right. And in terms of the returning rate, this information is from February, and now I have checked the numbers of the rentals, and now it has increased to about 140 something. As you see that the return rate is about 11.2%. It might looks or seems not, as high, but if compared to the beginning in August, we can see that it increased from about 5% into 11.2%, which means that we gradually increasing, the trend to return and reuse the cups. And we also have a number of repeated renters, meaning that these users are renting more than one time. But even though we don't have, 100% or more than 50% returning cups, but we believe that the reusable cups that they bought or they took with them will make the best out of reducing single-use plastic waste in the future. Next, please. And when asked about why they choose to rent the cup instead of using single-use plastic cups, and they are able to choose, how many, like as many reasons as they can. And to avoid the bias, we didn't choose them the choices, but the barista were the one who asked, why do you choose to rent the cups? As we can see that significantly, they would love to help reduce single-use plastic waste, which means that the awareness on the plastic crisis, plastic pollution is also high. Next, please. And in terms of the ideal locations for cup renting, as we can see that the highest one is cafe, following by touristic places and restaurants, which is quite different than what we expected, which could be bus stations and train stations and airport, which are not really an ideal place for the users or the renters. Next, please. Right. And for our lessons, actually, we have many things to share, but because of limited of time, these are the lesson learned. We think that desirability is also matters, like the cups design and also quality, and the clear message as well on how they can help to, protect the environment by renting the cups. And convenience is also a key. We learn from working with the businesses that are busy all the time. So we try not to be a burden, but to provide another choice or another solutions that they can easily use or choose. Lesson 3 is business participation is essential to make them really engaging, really understanding about why we are doing this together. And last but not least, scaling needs some support. And of course, we are continuing. It's not going to end with the project with adjacent area, but we aim to expand more cafes, more numbers of businesses, and with the continued communication and visibility, and also partnering organizations, we believe that Rental Cup could be one of the sustainable businesses that help the world to reduce single-use plastic waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valley. And what I also find very interesting is your cup became so desirable that people kept them instead of returning them. So I think, honestly, this is one of the things I love most about behavior design, because no matter how much research you do, the real life still will surprise you. And those unexpected outcome are opportunities, and they invite us to look more closely at what people are really responding to, and to uncover this deep motivation during this driving their behavior. So thank you, Valley. Now let's turn to Noriza from University of Philippines, Diliman, whose team has been working with campus food providers to shift the single-use plastic habits among students, vendors, and staff. Noriza, please.
Thank you, Shang. My name is Loriza, and I'm here to present the results of our pilot project for sustainable vending in University of the Philippines, Diliman Phase 2. So next slide, please. So back in 2023, waste analysis and characterization study conducted in UP Diliman revealed that multi-vendor commercial establishments generate the highest volume of waste on campus. And one of this is Good Food. As a high traffic hub hosting over 40 concessionaires and 1,700 daily visitors, Good Food generates an average of 168 kilograms of waste per day. Crucially, plastic accounts for over a third of that stream. Now, through our walkthrough assessments and interviews with stakeholders, we identified problems across 3 key groups. For vendors, while some have pivoted to reusables, many still rely on single-use plastics, often due to a limited awareness of the Quezon City's plastic reduction ordinances. Next, we have customers. There is actually a persistent habit of requesting plastics and, unfortunately, disposing of waste in incorrect bins. And finally, for the housekeeping staff, because waste arrives at the bins already mixed, staff end up consolidating a contaminated stream, which lowers their motivation to recover recyclables. Essentially, we aren't just facing a waste problem, we are actually facing a behavioral challenge. Next slide, please. With this, our primary objective is very clear, and that is to reduce the plastic waste generation and mismanagement in good food. To achieve this, we mapped out the specific behaviors that we want to see from our vendors, customers, and staff, and identify the psychosocial states needed to trigger those actions. So this framework resulted in 6 strategic activities. We have the first activity, a vendor seminar on Quezon City ordinances and the benefits of avoiding single-use plastics. The second one is the implementation of strawless Mondays. Third one is a straw upon request policy. The fourth one is posting of IEC materials, promoting bring your own, Claygo, and proper segregation. Next is improving segregation bins and labels. And finally, a seminar for housekeeping on waste recovery and recycling. We have categorized this under 4 behavior change levers: the rules and regulations, information, choice architecture, and social influence. Next slide, please. Now, with our limited time today, I want to highlight the tangible results of 3 of our interventions. First is the vendor awareness and education seminar. In this, we collaborated directly with the Quezon City local government unit to orient the concessionaires on the city's plastic ordinances and about their environmental benefits. We focused on the single-use plastics ban, which prohibits disposable cutlery for dine-in, and the specific penalties for non-compliance. The response was actually immediate and measurable. Following the seminar, stores began a swift transition. Many shifted to stainless steel utensils, some converted to washable plates, wooden spoons and forks, biodegradable linings, and biodegradable bagas or rice straws. And by the end of our project, 41 out of 44 stores, that's over 93%, had successfully switched to non-plastic alternatives. From our post-implementation survey, regulation and the threat of penalties are actually viewed as the strongest driver for this shift. Next slide, please. Next is the improvement of segregation bins and labels and the seminar for housekeeping staff. Previously, the segregation bins were a bit problematic. Labels were too generalized and lacked clear examples of which items belong in which bin. Now, this ambiguity led to high contamination and discouraged customers from even attempting to sort their waste. To fix this, we conducted a stakeholder survey, created the prototype from the result, and implemented a full system upgrade. 20 segregation bins were upgraded with new color-coded labels featuring illustrations and examples for each waste type. We also added dedicated blue bins for plastic bottles and installed a set of pedal-type stainless steel bins with an integrated tray return station for the indoor area. We also conducted a seminar for the housekeeping staff focusing on the dual benefit of waste recovery, that is meeting sustainability goals while earning additional income from recyclables. Now, the impact on behavior was also immediate. We observed customers actually pausing to read the new labels, and this shifted correct segregation from a low 33% to 60%. Also, with cleaner waste streams and better knowledge, 100% of the housekeeping staff are now actively recovering recyclables. By replacing a confusing system with an intuitive one, we turned waste recovery from a chore into a rewarding habit for the housekeeping staff. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, our behavior-centered interventions at Good Food have delivered measurable improvements in both waste reduction and management. We have successfully shifted vendor habits, fostered conscious customer behavior, and empowered housekeeping staff to recover the plastic recyclables. The activities resulted in a 9.28% reduction in daily plastic utensil usage and a 63.97% reduction in plastic straw consumption. Most significantly, we moved from an initial 0% recovery rate to recovering an average of 63% of plastic recyclables daily. This reflects a total shift in compliance and collective effort to divert plastic from landfills or leakage to the environment. Now, moving forward, we recommend stronger enforcement through targeted LGU campaigns and government support to maintain the policy momentum. Infrastructure support is also vital, requiring continued management involvement to provide essential facilities such as wash bins for the reusable items. And finally, there is a need for policy standardization to implement uniform rules across all vendors, which will, of course, eliminate inconsistencies and solidify sustainable habits as the new normal at Good Food. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.
Thank you, Narisa. And what I really like about your presentation is the psychosocial theory of change. I also noticed there is some comment from the Q&A session about this psychosocial theory of change. In your project, the theory of change is designed around 3 target audience, consumer, vendor, and housekeeping staff. This psychosocial theory of change allows us to focus on the target audience and not only mapping out the activities and outcomes, but also the social psycho realities of each target audience and what shaped their behavior, what pressures they face. I think that's really reflect the behavior-centered design approach. So thank you for sharing this insight with us.
Thank you,
Now
Sharon.
let's, thank you. So now let's dive deeper into each cases and explore how the behavior insights help shape your solutions. So let me begin with NOPA. So Pierre, I saw a lot of questions coming to you. People are interested in this NFC chips in the water bottle. And those originally was designed to help log reuse activities. But your pilot showed that the customers use them more often to check the cafe locations. Was that surprising to you? And how do you interpret that behavior?
I mean, thank you for the question. It's a great question. It's true that the story of the origin of the NFC chip is because we had a partner also who wanted to be able to match every discount given with an actual trace of the behavior happening and make sure that the bottle that comes in is really an original NOPA. You know, we know how it is sometimes in Asia. People are afraid, oh, someone's going to copy your bottle and they're just going to try and get your all of the rewards as well. So they really wanted to have this authentication system. And for us, it was also, oh, yes, it's true. The problem about reuse is that it's hard to quantify how much impact you're having because we don't know how like the plastic that never got to exist or never got to be used. It's a bit difficult to quantify. From the moment when we had to find a solution and we went with this NFC chip, we had to think, how can this also provide value to our customer, right? Because ultimately they are the one paying for it. And so our first idea was indeed that if we want people to really have a grasp of all the rewards they could get, what would be good is to give them this visualization, this map where they can find where are the rewards. And at the beginning, you know, we had very few partners, so it was a bit shameful, a very tiny map with a few points. But now it's gotten to a point where, of course, because there is a lot of new partners coming in every week, it's something that a lot of users are checking very regularly to see what's happening around them and what are some places that they can go to. And it is a surprise in a way because of course, when we talk about reusing in the context of takeaway drinks, what we try to address is habitual consumption, not impulsive consumption. So we're talking about the coffee shop that you usually go very regularly because they're on your way to work, because they're close to your office. And it's very likely that this coffee shop, if they have some kind of reuse program, especially if they work with us because we do advertising in store, they will know about it. So they don't really need the map. But in practice, it's true that it has created kind of a new breed of customer who want to explore where are coffee shop, and that is linked also to the fact that it happens that the coffee shop that says yes to NOPA are usually also coffee shop that are quote unquote a bit more brand oriented, and so cooler spaces. So that's also why people are more into exploring. So it's a surprise, but you know, it became a
Present.
feature.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a very smart way because it shows people this became more and more popular. It's sending a message to the customer. It's becoming a social norm. It's a trend. And also, I saw a lot of people asking in the Q&A about how do you convince those vendors. Apparently, if they join this initiative, they will good for their brand image. They will be more motivated to join your initiative. So thank you.
Yes, I answered this question, so otherwise it can be found in the answers.
Yes, thank you. Now let's the question for Valley. So the rent-a-cup, this model has become more and more visible recently in European countries. And I also saw that there are a lot of people from all over the world participating in this webinar, and your project bringing this approach into Laos. And so I also know there have been some similar effort to test this model in China. So I'm curious, what adaptation did you have to make it to fit the local customer habits and the existing infrastructure or partnership ecosystem? And what did those changes teach you about redesign those reuse system in Laos?
Right. Thank you very much for the question, Xiang. That's a good observation as well. I mean, to be honest with you, we have this idea of bringing rental cup or creating rental cup in Laos because we also have been exploring what's going on in other countries as well. So this model we have seen in Europe, as you have already mentioned. I personally, for the first time, saw it in Germany, like, oh, you can actually rent a cup and return. So that was very fascinating. And that's how we also learned that in many countries, there are also similar model, and we would love to recreate that in Laos. And as you already mentioned, it can be challenging because in the case and the context of Laos, we're different, and it's unfair to say that like one size fits all, or we can just bring this model and make it work in Laos. So we have to work a lot on learning about our own context. But to be honest, working with ITIS and also learn about the behavioral change levers also help us a lot to learn and to plan our implementation. For example, like the choice architecture that everyone, I think, in this panel is trying to provide to the users. So in case of Laos, I mean, comparing to European context or even NOPA, we cannot really use the very sophisticated or high technology methods, I would say. For example, like in Europe, you might see that they have the applications or the returning renting kiosk. But in Laos, I think it's we are quite in the beginning stage. But we also utilize our strong networks with the hospitality businesses to work with them in order to understand about the working culture of the hospitality and service sector, and try to make it embed into the service, not make it another barrier and not make it hard for the users to understand and to use it. For example, like our QR systems are mainly being used by the barista and us. So the user just, be there, pay, get the cup, return, get their money back. So they just, be the user of the cups. So I think that's how we adapt. I think we have to work a lot on something else compared to other models in some other places. Like we had a launch event in order to receive feedbacks and questions from the users. And many of them were concerns about hygienes. And that's what we didn't expect, that hygiene can be something that concern Lao people the most. And we, have to work around that. We have to like gain trust and to create a standard and work together with the cafe to ensure that the cups that are being shared are clean and hygienic enough. And also, when it comes to the social influence lever, we also work closely with the cafes and barista, because they are actually the one who are influencers. So barista were the one who like ask if you want to rent your cup, or like if you rent your cup, you can help us to reduce, or you'll get the discount, for example. And last but not least, I think Laos, we still have to work a lot on awareness raising. I wouldn't say that Lao people don't have high awareness on plastic pollution, because we see that many people might already be aware about that. But I would say that this model is new. This concept is new. So we work together in the past with our partners like the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment, National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And soon we are trying to work together with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, which I can say now because I think it's coming. So yeah, we hope to expand this, especially to work together with different partners to raise awareness and increase the visibility of rental cup, so that people start questioning what it is and how it works.
Thank you, Valley. That's a very good insights that like behind this, the behavior change is just a result. But if you want to achieve that, there's so much work, and you have to constantly test your prototype and revise. So that's a very critical insights to share. Thank you. So next, let me go to Norisa. During your project, there was already a plastic ban policy in place in your region. So how, as you also mentioned that in your presentation, you engage with policymakers, and how did this policy interact with your underground intervention? I think more importantly, we wanted to have your insights on what advice you would offer the policymakers who wants to make a policy that's not just exist on paper, but actually translate into behavior change.
Thank you, Shang, for that question. Actually, the Quezon City Plastic Reduction Ordinances weren't actually new. They were already existing policies way back in 2020, but they were not fully implemented before, especially during the pandemic. So awareness and enforcement on the ground were quite low. So we invited the representatives of the Quezon City Local Government Unit as resource speakers during the vendor seminar, wherein they explained the ordinances, including the rationale and the penalties. So they also clarified the plastic alternatives. That helped connect the policy directly to the vendors' day-to-day operation. So what our project did was essentially activate the policy on the ground. And in terms of interaction, this policy actually came out as the primary motivator for vendors to shift to non-plastic alternatives. For policymakers, maybe the key takeaway is policies alone are not enough. To translate this into real behavior change, we need strong and consistent enforcement. We also need clear communication and direct engagement with the store owners and management. The people need to understand the why. And of course, we also need enabling conditions such as affordable and sufficient alternatives and infrastructures. Otherwise, even if the policy is good on paper, it won't really change behavior and have impacts on plastic reduction and environmental management objectives.
Great. Thank you, Norisa. I think that's a lot of the insights on policymaker is quite important. So I think we will share more of your insights with the audience later. So I think before we wrap it up, I wanted to just like briefly reflect one thing I'm hearing across all the three cases, because we often have here excuses from business. They're claiming that customers are not ready for the sustainable behavior, or the sustainability is the job for the government, not for us. And I also, interestingly, I wanted to read from one of the comments in the question and answer. I think that's really insightful. So the comment said, while the customers play an important role in reducing single-use plastic, business also bear responsibility. In some cases, cafés using single-use plastic cups even for the dining customers, not only for takeaways to save time and labor. So your practice shows that if we design the system, make the choice easy, visible, socially supported, and rewarding, business can play such an important role to reshape this environment in which decision happens. So I think I wanted to thank you for all of you had this very good in sharing about your not only success, but also how difficult and also how complex the issue is. So I really congratulations, and I wanted to return this back to Dwayne. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yang. Thank you to Pierre, Valley, Noriza. This was a really great conversation. Sharing, I'm really happy that you picked up on this one comment from the chat. I want to return to that. First, I just want to say that my own reflection on this panel. It was really great to hear all of you talking about, the role of convenience. I think this is something that we have really seen in all of our behavior change work, that if you can make something easier for people to adopt, of course, they're going to engage in that. As well, it's really interesting to hear you all emphasizing the behaviorally informed levers for influencing choices, the social influence, the appeals to emotion, tradition, culture. This makes me think about the role of storytelling we heard from the first panel. We have storytelling as an educational tool, but we also have it as a brand communication tool, and also this role of peer-to-peer influence. We're humans, we're social creatures, and so this is a really important tool to leverage. I just wanted to, I guess, touch back on what Xiang, you were just mentioning, this comment about the role of business, the role of individuals, the role of government. So I want to maybe tease this out and ask Xiang if you have a thought on this. But look, we're not in this behavior work that we're doing. We're not putting the responsibility all on the consumer. This is one entry point, but as you've seen from the second panel, the businesses also need to do better, can do better, making the plastic alternative or sustainable alternative the default option. Policymakers also need to do their part, as Dorisa was hinting around, to create that enabling environment in which businesses, households, and individuals can make sustainable and informed consumption and waste management decisions. So, Xiang, I'm wondering if you have kind of a bit of an expanded reflection on this question about the roles and responsibilities, I think, or maybe roles versus responsibility.
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne, for this question. I think from what I hear from these two panels, and what strike me is that behavior change is not about pushing people. It's about holding hands and walking with them. So I think for the single-use plastic issue like this, it needs really the customer and the policymaker and the business, they all hold their hands together and walk through this sustainable pathway. So that's really everybody needs to act. But we, as a behavior scientist, we need to understand every player, they have different psychosocial state, they have different interests, so they have different motivation. We need to surface the right motivation and remove the barrier for them to make this behavior change much easier for them. So thank you.
Yeah, fully agree. Thank you. And just before I realize that we're up against the clock here, and just before I go to kind of some closing reflections, I also wanted to kind of elevate a comment that came from a participant joining from Myanmar, talking about from the position of someone in an underdeveloped country, it's difficult or can be difficult to change or reduce single-use plastic. This kind of locked into the system. It's the cheap version, it's the affordable version, it's the available version. So, some countries are in a position where they can start to avoid using single-use plastics, but some are not. And I think it's really important that we remember that as we look around ASEAN, as we look around the world, and as you say, Xiang, as we're holding hands and on this journey together, that we remember that we all need to kind of help each other and move along together. So I wanted to highlight that question. Or that comment, I should say. So maybe, yeah, we can go back to the final slide now. And yes, I can see in the chat, so we will be sharing the presentation with everyone in the follow-up communication after the event, so you can have access to all of the materials you're seeing here. So yeah, I just wanted to tease out, I guess, five key lessons that are in the report and that you've heard discussed a little bit here as a closing remark. First is this role of embedding behavior change in the locally meaningful values. Interventions that we've seen are most effective when plastic reduction is framed through culturally and socially relevant narratives. So this storytelling, rather than purely environmental messaging. Some people respond to that, but most people have more complex motivations. So linking behavior change to identity, as Nopa was talking about, values or social belonging, such as religious principles. This was highly successful in Indonesia, or lifestyle branding. This is really an effective strategy. Second, making behavior change easy, reducing the friction. We heard this quite a bit, perhaps not surprisingly, from the business side, thinking about friction here. Redesigning the decision environment, this choice architecture, to make the sustainable choice the default option. Like Narisa was mentioning, this kind of straw on demand policy. This can really help to shift and make it easier for people to adopt new behaviors and try something that they might not otherwise. And now I think, we heard someone mention, apologies, I can't remember who, that this is fundamentally a human behavior problem. It's a plastic problem, but it's human behavior. So we need to really think about this in a holistic way and think about it from a societal perspective. So establishing clear regulatory standards, asking government to step up to the table to provide clear guidance. In the case that UP Diliman was talking about, hygiene standards, operational requirements, certification for reusable products. In the case of Equinox, to support businesses transitioning to circular economy. This is a key component. But enforcement is also really critical. If there's a policy and it's not being enforced, people may not comply. And of course, we like to think that people will respond to positive incentives, and sometimes they will respond to, the threat of a penalty, of a fine. So policies and incentives, can really fail when the operational actors, the local government is, maybe people are unaware of the roles or the potential benefits of participating. So, we really need to highlight the need for clear communication and training as well within the enforcement environment. And finally, this point about the enabling environment. So we can shift behavior, we can encourage people to adopt alternatives to single-use plastics. But as our colleague from Myanmar pointed out, this isn't always viable in every location. I think in our first phase, the University of Philippines also discovered that, the infrastructure wasn't in place to deal with certain types of alternatives to plastic. So we really need to think about how to work with government to get the infrastructure in place that enables us to make, really informed, sustainable choices, and really have a role in the conversation. So these are my 5 top lessons here. And so with that, and acknowledging the time, I just really want to thank everyone for joining us today, for taking the time to be with us, for participating in the chat. On behalf of AREA, IGES, RARE Center for Behavior Environment, thank you, everyone. We will be following up with communication in the coming days that will include the slides that you see here, as well as some resources, including the report on the second phase. And we look forward to seeing you at future events. We are currently planning a third phase of this work, so please watch for an announcement of that. And as well, I should mention a recent project that has been launched is the Behavior Lab, which you will be seeing more frequently in the region. Is a partnership between AREA, IGES, RARE, GIZ, and WWF Plastic Smart Cities. We're all coming together to work on behaviorally informed strategies for shifting plastic consumption and waste behavior within ASEAN. So please watch for us. And once again, thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your day wherever you're joining us in the world. Thank you.